Journal Entry 2. Welcome back. It's a beautiful day here in South Florida. The birds are singing, the sun is shining. It's the kind of day that reminds you life is good and one is healthy. Your mind is clear. Your muscles are providing coffee to your system. The structure which holds you up is sound. And in this journal entry, we will begin to know that same structure just a little bit better. So where do we begin? By finding a teacher, number one. Or perhaps a way of instruction that really soaks into our individual brains. And step two, giving consideration to how we learn as individuals. Having attended art school for animation, there are several names we are taught, like you're taught your own name as an infant. And they've kind of just stuck with me. These are names that return to my mind time and time again whenever I have significant art block and can't, for the life of me, get myself into motion. Some of these are Andrew Loomis, Morpho, Anatomy for Artists, Michael Hampton, Figure Drawing, Proko, Schoolism, just to name a few. If you are looking for comprehensive anatomy basics, these artists and platforms are time-tested, tried and true resources to start with depending on how you feel you learn best as an artist. Andrew Loomis, for example, is an illustration industry staple. He is a huge advocate of the idealistic proportions of the human body. 8 heads tall, etc., etc., etc. However, if you take the time to read and consider his words, you realize that's not exactly his goal in instruction. He wants to give you a neutral average from which you can stretch, push, and pull your characters taller or squash them smaller. It's these exact averages at the beginning which give you a solid constant to work from as you move to something like Griz and Norm, for example, which are a bit more fluid and a bit more free-spirited and still very instructive, but not quite the neutral average Andrew provides us. Every now and then, I find myself returning to Loomis to help me ground myself before proceeding into another artistic level up. Parameters act as unwavering support in your faded edges of all the limitless places your work can go. This very thought can also be said for Morpho and Michael Hampton. These are all fantastic options when learning bone structure, shape, proportion, scale, all the way into balance, movement, the concrete foundations for the rest of your artistic career. If, and this is a big if you learn best by reading. However, if you are someone who prefers learning through video instruction and demonstrations, Proko and Schoolism are 2 wonderful options to further your artistic education. Now, you may be thinking, okay, but it's so boring. Or is it? Or is it we just haven't found a way of learning that excites us on an individual level? Academics will tell you you're learning by memorizing. Who cares? You're quote-unquote learning, and that's all that matters. However, I once had an anatomy instructor, and one of his mottos was, quote, learn human anatomy so you can learn to forget it, unquote. And that has always stuck with me, because that to me is the meaning of learning as an artist. What my anatomy instructor meant was you learn it to intuitively internalize it, metastasize it almost into a type of muscle memory, so you can consciously forget it. The muscle memory is necessary so you can mechanically function, with intent, of course. And this allows you to mentally focus on new learning that builds on top of that, because you trust in the foundation which you have established for yourself. In order to do that, though, we have to do the reps. Anatomy, the form of the human body, and learning to process the information it imparts to us, creates a foundation for you that supports in different ways every other artistic discipline in existence, if we are open to understanding how. For example, doing master studies of artists like Richard Schmid, Claire Wendling, Chris Hong, not only do these artists exaggerate and filter the human form through their own lenses, while having a solid understanding of the basics, but they have wonderful examples of other design principles shown through their depiction of the human form, rhythm, positive and negative space, pattern, and so many others. Because at their level, anatomy has transcended from a subject to be studied to a design tool to create with, to play with, to have fun with. This brings us back to the reality of needing to know the rules before you can break them. Now that you have a few good options for practicing said material, here are a few questions that helped me find out how I best study this subject. Maybe they will help you too. How do I learn best in other areas of life? Am I a written learner, audio learner, visual learner? Do I need the social aspect to help ground me in the reality of the learning experience? Am I an artist who understands working through shapes better, like a sculptor? Do I learn better through line and watching demos unfold? Do I learn better through positive and negative shapes? Maybe you live creating environments or compositions because the positive and negative shapes just fit together like a jigsaw in your brain. These types of questions and many others help you figure out from which angle to approach something like anatomical learning for yourself. What specific exercises and instructors will best make sense for you and help keep your brain flexible. If you thought this was helpful, please subscribe, and if you're feeling a little frisky, maybe even leave a thumbs up in the comments, along with any questions you may have. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Let's keep gaining confidence in ourselves and our anatomy. Take care.